keep searching. Keep searching. Keep searching. Keep searching. Stay faithful and do not allow that thing that threw you off, that off-kilter moment, the confusion, the weird mood, the weird experience, the misalignment, after all the work that you've done, after all the things that you have allowed to die and grieved and released and let go of in order to make room for more alignment, in order to the ego emotional comfort sacrifices that you made in order to allow the geometry of your ephemeral electric soul to stack neatly on top of the invisible threads that weave the tapestry of the universe. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, what I'm trying to say in non-waxy, poetic, layman's terms is this message is for people who had their faith shaken, or you had a moment where you felt disappointed or angry or frustrated or blinded, or all of a sudden the walls came back in and it made no sense. All of a sudden, the box that you fought your way tooth and nail out of, through hell, the walls came back down and you said, what the fuck? Why? Why this again? I'm talking to you. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be your mirror right now. You know you're intuitive. You know you checked all the boxes. You followed the instructions. You're in relationship with God. You wouldn't be invested in my videos. You wouldn't be drawn to my videos. Genuinely, if you didn't have a relationship with God, you wouldn't feel a resonance if you didn't have that. So I just need to validate that. You're good, you're on lock spiritually. You're doing the thing, okay? And I'm here to remind you, through my own experience, of exactly what I'm talking you through right now, because I just went through it and I had the revelation and now I'm sharing it with you. I'm here to remind you that God, when you're walking with God, hand in hand, towards your promises, towards your purpose, your soul mission, sometimes it just feels like it's not your season. Sometimes you bump into things that make you tricked into forgetting where God's taking you. How can I make an analogy? Imagine you're on a road trip and you're going to Disney or a national park. You pick. You're going to one or the other, or your favorite place, or your grandma's house, or whatever, someplace. You're going somewhere and you're excited about it. And I want you to, invoke the feeling of excitement that comes in you. Hi, sweet peep. When your body and your spirit are like, yes, we're going to go to this place and I feel so vital and full and alive and I'm going to, just radiate this energy and I'm going to pack my bags with this joy and it's just going to feel so good and I'm like being carried and I'm being held and I'm coasting along and I'm, okay, yeah. Oh. And, you're just coasting and you're held and you feel sustained in that moment by this joy and exuberance. But then a rock gets lodged in a bad place in your engine. And so mommy or daddy, whoever's driving the car, because you're just baby in the back seat, they need to find a mechanic if they are not one themselves, and they need to get the car fixed and maybe replace some parts. And maybe what happens is your trip to Disney or grandma's or the national park or the ocean or the bookstore has to get postponed because maybe they don't have the parts. Maybe they don't have the parts. Maybe they need to order the parts, and it's going to take 2 days for the new parts to arrive, so you got to pull over and sleep there for the night. And maybe you already bought a reservation to the park that you were going to, or the movie or play you were going to see, and you had everything planned and lined up. But because of this hiccup, while you were on the path, on the road to get to the place, you're postponed or canceled, or it set you back an hour, or set you back a week, or it set you back even a year. Really, 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 really unfortunate. But, you only had so much money. You invested it. You planned for this trip. You spent the resources. You can't get a refund. And you can't get it back. And you have a work schedule you have to stick with. And you have commitments you need to show up for the rest of the year. And you won't be able to afford another break like this until next year, or whatever the situation is. I mean, that would be devastating. Or maybe you need to wait 2 days. Or maybe a hurricane or a snowstorm comes and you get snowed in and you need to wait till the roads are safe because the plow can't get to where you are because you're on a dirt road or something, when you get a flat tire in rural farm country versus in the city, or in like a suburban neighborhood, what are the odds that a tow truck is going to take 4 hours or 1 hour? I mean, that changes based off where you are. However, if your situation, still speaking in this metaphor, is that you need to wait till next year to go to Disney because you just, all of a sudden your vacation time was filled with dealing with this car issue, but you had to deal with it because you got to either fix the car for better, safer driving next time, or realize that you can't fix it and you need a new car so that you can be prepared. Because what if you got to Disney and you had to come back and then you realized that your car was out, and you missed this thing and that thing, whatever. Or maybe the delay was an hour and everything got fixed quick. So you're on your way again, but your favorite ride closed before you got to show up there the next, that day or the next day. Whatever your emotional or literal setback was, God is reminding you that He's not removing Disneyland from your life. He's not splitting the tectonic plate between you and Disney so you can't get there. It might feel like it because emotions are, they like color reality and they make things feel so intense and painful and visceral, when maybe the reality is just a simple matter of some logistics switch ups. But when this thing happens, that the thing that you long for and pray for, the thing that you were literally lightning bolted into a human body, conceived and created in human form, as soon as that happened, you came down from heaven with this whisper, with a charge, with a magnetic polarity that's only attracted to a specific type of life or type of things on this earth, and you came here to experience those things, aka passion and purpose, whatever that means for you. When you come here with that charge, and that you feel that charge reawaken when you're driving to Disneyland, or maybe you go on a date and you meet someone you think you're going to marry and that reawakens you, or Maybe you perform somewhere and you get the most live, living feedback from the crowd you've ever received, or whatever it is for you. When you feel that charge and you're that much closer to the thing, that charge wakes up, right? You know what I'm talking about. The charge wakes up. You get so excited when you're about to see your best friend. You get so excited when you're about to see the love of your life. And if you don't, maybe assess your situation, right? If in general you're not excited to see these people that you say you love, do you really love them if you're not excited to see them? Just a reality check there, because a lot of people, I think, are lying to themselves about what they want and what they're willing to tolerate and what's possible. But I'm here to remind you and validate, especially if you've already chosen this path for yourself, that I always say this: God would never put a longing or desire in your heart that unshakable and that big if your soul wasn't designed to experience it. And time is no obstacle and no barrier between you and that thing. Period. As I was saying, anyway, when you move closer to that thing, you know, the promise, the thing, the dream, the Disneyland, the national park, the trip of your dreams, the moment of your dreams, that electricity wakes up, and then something comes and severs it temporarily. It's like my analogy, I will make an analogy, you know, you preheat the oven and the heating elements, they glow red hot because you have turned on the gas and you have opened up the pathway for the fuel and the current to flow into the vessel. But then when your oven is off, and it's been off for a day, the heating element is not hot. So just because you're on your way to meeting your future spouse, finding your community, finding where you belong, writing, publishing your book, starting your YouTube channel, doing whatever it is that God called you to do, you are the vessel. You are the heating element. And you know what it feels like to burn hot. You know what it feels like to have that preheat turned on and have the current charging running through you. Because when it was hot, that was what inspired you to take the next step. That was why you believed in God. That was what gave you faith that there was something more exciting, something better, something more fulfilling for you. But now that your heating element, your vessel, was interrupted by that flat tire, by that rock in the engine, or by the 1 week delay or the 1 year delay or the logistics turning around, all of a sudden your emotions, because we're human, that's what emotions do, so feel them, grieve them. Yes, you have permission to wallow in them. Because you're a human. You're a human, and nobody can tell you how to have a relationship with your emotions. They're yours. It's your sacred relationship. I can never, ever tell you how to feel. You will always feel, but I can never tell you how to feel. That's so personal and so sacred. And it's just how we're wired. But anyway, when that thing comes, and it's like ice on your heating element, and the thing fizzles out, the emotions, they come up, they color our universe, they do the thing that they're supposed to do because we're human. If we are human, there's no avoiding it, there's no escaping it, there's no turning it off, there's no dimming it down, there's no building such a perfect relationship with your emotions that all of a sudden they don't bother you, there's no not being bothered. I think that is bullshit. I think it's bullshit. I think that what I'm trying to say, our relationship with our emotions is what defines how we experience life and them. But having emotions is not bad, and being bothered is not bad. How you relate to the experience of feeling bothersome is what defines your experience of being human on earth, and your capacity and your limitations. But being annoyed, being bothered is not a limit. It's not a limitation. It's a human reality. It is nature. The wind blows. The wind blows. The wind freaking blows. The Earth's axis tilts. And sometimes some parts of the Earth are way colder. Too cold for a person to sleep under the stars comfortably for a night. So what do? Do you have windows, or do you not have windows? And like, on this note, God bless the people that are suffering in the cold outside at night. My prayers and heart goes to them. And if you can, I like to do this, but put some like non-perishable snack or something in your car, so if you pull up to a corner, you can give a piece of food or a bite to a homeless person. And I will also say that prayers do make a difference. They do, and I will encourage you to pray for the less fortunate, vulnerable people, because it's heartbreaking. And I cannot understand why more people don't help them, and why so many people ignore homeless people. And that is such a conversation. That is such a whole other conversation. But thinking about the analogy, of human nature and having emotions, that's inevitable. Cold winters in some regions of the world are inevitable. And that's why we have windows. And the window is a form of having a relationship to seasons, right? A window protects the inside of the house and the carpet from getting moldy, from getting bug infestations, from becoming inhospitable to me and my desires and intentions for living. Because, if I wanted to live with bugs and if I wanted to live in the cold, I would go sleep in a tent, or I would go sleep in a tree. But I chose to live in a house, so the window is a form of relationship between the outside world, the elements, and the inside. Just as your decision and perception and relationship with your anger, your disappointment, your response, the way that you act after you are upset that a rock got lodged in your engine and now you can't go to Disney for another week or another year or another 2 hours, whatever it is. How you respond to that and what you choose to think and do and believe determines your reality more so than the emotion itself, because emotion is just energy and it doesn't become a barrier until we slap a concept on it. So many people are afraid to admit their feelings or to talk about them because of this. And I have a headache. I was sitting in, I breathed in a lot of secondhand smoke smell today in some place I was sitting in. It just threw me off so bad. And I'm so pissed off and annoyed, at the feeling of just having another headache. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm so exhausted. I had kind of a near-death experience earlier this year. And if you don't know about it, you can watch videos on my channel. But it's like, after all the fucking work I put into my health and wellness and authentic, giving myself permission to be authentic and, body sovereignty and my own comfort in my skin and all these things. And all of a sudden I'm sitting in a room and I smell this terrible smell and I'm just like, social norms, I don't feel comfortable walking up and going elsewhere or leaving the room or whatever, I have to just sit here. And it got to me. And I did, for that moment, for those 2 hours, I was just not in a comfortable situation. And I laugh because it's such a mundane experience, but it's such a mirror of this bigger theme that I'm talking to you about here, of, how you metabolize those moments in life when these things, whether it's a rock in your engine or a broken bone, God forbid, or an irritating smell, or an uncomfortable social dynamic that you don't want to wear a mask in, but you do anyway, because you're more comfortable wearing a mask there than getting up and being the one person not doing what everyone else is doing. And it knocks you, and it brings you back to like the voice of the devil, or to the conditions that you worked so hard and you spent so much energy. Did that show up on the screen? I don't know if you guys saw what I just saw. There is a white, I don't know if it was a fuzz, but I feel like it was way too fast moving to be a fuzz. And if I watch this back and I see like a white thing fall from my hair, then I'll be like, okay, that's what it is. But I just saw this white ball like fall really fast in front of my eyeball, and I don't know what it was. Anyway, I hope you saw it too, because that would just be funny. But anyway, yeah, I feel like I'm coming to the end of my message here, but this one is just one more time. It's for those of you who, I just want to encourage you. I just want to encourage you, because I felt so disappointed today, and it was such a tiny, tiny, tiny situation that happened with me that I don't even feel comfortable sharing here on YouTube, because it was so, I'm afraid that the wrong people will, see this and judge me, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, it happens all the time, because people don't know how to hold these things. So, I mean, with that, it's like, it's okay to honor your sensitivity, even if no one is able to validate it, or no one's able to see it, or whatever, because it's not about the validation from the outside. It's about you respecting and honoring the way that you were built, the way that you're wired, the way that you are. Why swim upstream to resist the current of just how you're wired? Life doesn't have to be so hard. Life is not hard. Life is inherently not hard. Resistance makes it hard. And I do have to acknowledge with this that a lot of people are stuck in survival mode in hard situations, because a lot of us didn't even have a choice whether or not we were born into certain circumstances. And those circumstances are fucking hard. So I will acknowledge that. I'm not saying that, if you live a hard life, it's your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But what I'm saying is I've tasted, liberation. I've tasted freedom. I've tasted heaven on earth. And that's what I strive to, that's what I align myself with in the ways that I can from where I'm at right now. And I just keep aligning and aligning and aligning. It's a choice. It's, do I want to step left or right or backwards or stay right here? And it's a relationship. It's a living, breathing relationship. What makes me feel most aligned? That's kind of aside from my main point here. But I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to encourage the people who are receptive and available for God's promises, and you are faithful. I'm talking to faithful people who are already faithful. I'm talking to people who've encountered a little tizzy. I don't know if that's the right word, but I felt like saying it. You're in a tizzy. People who've been knocked off kilter, people who are experiencing a bit of disappointment, or maybe a little letdown or a big letdown. Just because you're in this moment where you feel like your connection to hope and enthusiasm has been severed. It's been severed so many times for my people who are survivors and who walk in faith and who have never given up. But it's like your resilience is a testament to the fact that, like, God, you don't need me to even tell you. I'm just here to encourage you, but you don't even need me to tell you that, like, God is on your side. God is still here. God never left you all of those times. You know, God never stopped calling you towards what is yours. And God is going to bring you in union with what is yours, your spouse, your home, your environment, your tribe, your community, your chosen family, your life path, your creative mission, your creative projects that only you can create, your offerings. God is already there. And you are already there. You're already there. You're already on the path. I'm seeing a vision of just like being on a conveyor belt. It's like you can go on a conveyor belt and walk, or you can go on a conveyor belt and stand. Or you can stand at the edge of the conveyor belt and look at it and not get on it. Or the conveyor belt might not be working, but you can still walk across it. It might take a little longer. And in that sense, there is no one right path. There's not one perfect path. Because if there was, we would be dying and failing left and right. I mean, that's kind of already happening. That's actually hilarious and tragic. But if there was one right path, only one right path, then like your life would be meaningless. And you know what's interesting? If you feel like your life is meaningless, maybe you've fallen into the trap thinking that there was only one path for you and you messed it up. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. You can get to where your soul is destined to be, to that thing, that dream, whether it's a literal dream, a vision that you have, or a quality, an emotional, spiritual, energetic quality that you feel inside of you. That thing is God's promise. That thing is what God placed into your soul that you can't get out of your head, you can't get out of your body, you can't get out of your mind, you can't get out of your soul. And no, I'm not talking about the forms that you attach them to, or the lover that you broke up with for good reason, that you keep feeling these visceral memories of. I'm not saying that that lover is or isn't meant to come back into your life, but what I'm saying is that's just a superficial expression of, you know, the kind of longing that God delivers. Longing can be sparked by the forms on this earth that are born and die and come and go. And a lot of the time, people, places, things, environments, temperatures, textures, colors, they all carry certain frequencies of like archetypal frequencies that remind us of what we long for, which is God, the quality of God, unconditionally. And we can meet more of God or less of God, or this flavor of God or that flavor of God in different people, places, things. There's so much to say here. But in the end, I'm going to come back to the core of my message. You did not miss it. You did not mess up. You did not miss the thing. God is still on your side. God is still showing you the way. God is still taking you there. And if you can't see the way, that means God trusts you to go wherever you need to go. Usually in life, a lot of times in life, when God screams the loudest and gives you the clearest instruction, it's because he knows that you're meant to go this way and he's ushering you this way, right? But then when God goes quiet, it might mean he trusts you. It might mean he's allowing you to go experiment and go be a human and go play. And it doesn't mean that you should stop listening to God and, you know, do things that God specifically told you not to do. Like, don't go back in bed with that person who was toxic. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Do not do that. Unless God tells you to, but I don't know, just be discerning. I can't tell you what to do. I can't. That was just a generalization. God can only tell you what to do. And you know what? It's okay for you to not hear his voice. And when I say his, I just mean God. It's just Father God, you know? The King of the universe, the King of everything, the creator of everything. Everything. So yeah, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. You are just as much on your way towards that promise and towards that thing, that goal, that vision, that dream, that connection, that love, that union, as you were when you felt it more than you feel it now. Emotions are not God. God speaks through emotions sometimes, but emotions are not God. So don't be fooled. You haven't lost it. You haven't lost it at all. There's really nothing to be, worried about. Not to invalidate your worries, but I am here to assure you, this is from my lived experience and my direct connection to the divine, to my relationship with God, that, yeah, you haven't lost it, okay? You haven't lost your way. It was just a hiccup. Maybe it was a huge hiccup. Maybe it was a small hiccup. But whatever the F you went through or you're going through now, God is still right next to you and still taking you there. So many people, especially in like neo-spiritual self-help, culture, like the cult, the self-help cult, I'll call it. There's some good self-help stuff, and then there's the absolute cult that's exploitative and predatory off of people's insecurities and vulnerabilities. We are human, so everyone experiences vulnerability, okay? But when you mistake vulnerability or surrender for fault, you gotta pull that out of your brain, like just like a worm. Like, that's a parasite. That is a freaking parasite. I fell into the trap, especially, as an 18-year-old when I was new to the self-help, spiritual healing, whatever. It was like, I felt so wrong. I felt so wrong for having different emotions or different experiences, because a lot of, honestly, spiritual narcissists would perpetuate this idea that if you're not perfect by their standards, then, you're not good enough and you're not gonna attract the life that you want. And then this whole idea of like attracting and not attracting, it's like, you cannot tell a victim of, trigger warning, domestic abuse, that they attracted a punch. That is narcissistic and demonic. That is demonic. That is the devil working through that person. That is not love. That is not God. That is manipulation, coercion, predation, exploitation. That is not love. You did not deserve to be mistreated. You never deserved to be mistreated. That's not God. Love is patient. Love is kind. And then there's whatever is not that, you know what I mean? So, I want to shake this lie out of people's heads that says you need to, manipulate your soul, your spirit, and your natural rhythms in order to attract something and like control how it comes to you. Because guess what, baby girls and boys, God works in his own timing. God is perfect, and God knows when a thing will fit and how it will fit. And when you allow God to do the work and you step aside, you surrender, you give it to God, and you let your ego die to your flesh. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, actually, but ego death. You allow your ego to die. God will take over, and God will create the perfect circumstances. But when you try to control the manifestation, when the relationship that you have with your dreams, goals, desires, and visions is coming from a place of desperation, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, that sends out signals to the fabric of reality that say, I don't trust God and I'm so nervous. I'm actually so scared. I'm actually so nervous that I'm never going to find this thing or never going to see this thing. But I'm here to just banish that. Like, you will. You will. It is promised. It's promised. What would it look like to believe it? If that means crying and sobbing and like screaming out to God and letting yourself feel the pain and heartbreak of the terror of allowing yourself to believe in something that you're actually so afraid is going to die, that could be an act of faith. That is courageous to do. Excuse me. And I've been in that situation before where, as an abuse survivor, as someone who is estranged from most of my family because they neglected me, I've had so many nights where I saw these beliefs and thoughts and despair, my own doubt. I won't call it mine, but my human's despair and doubt, not my spirit, not my soul's. It belonged to my human, it belonged to my flesh, my nervous system, my soma, the physical world, the thing my ego is tied to, the thing my ego works to protect, which is my flesh. The ego is designed to preserve the flesh. Ego says, scans for threats, looks for tigers, it's the thing that's afraid of the dark because you can't see. It's the thing that's afraid of the unknown. It's the thing that relies on old limitations to protect you when you're going and doing a new thing. It's the thing that flares up and tells you you're going to die if you go on stage and speak or sing into that microphone because it's terrifying. That's your ego. I think. I know. But as I was saying, as a survivor of these things, I have had nights where my ego would barely let a sliver of God's light into my life. But that's why I make YouTube videos. That's why I tell my stories. That's why I air my laundry online, because I overcame impossible things. I survived what should have killed me, what should have permanently fucked me up. I survived things that other people didn't. Why? I had faith and I chose, and also I couldn't say why. I couldn't say why I survived. I couldn't, because I'm tempted to say God was protecting me, but what does that mean? Then God is not protecting the people who didn't, who are in a worse place? I don't think so. I can't fathom the laws of God and why God chooses this and that and why the circumstances are the way they are. I don't know. Anyway, I went through my hell. I went through my seasons of hell, and now I'm out of them. But the ego creeps up sometimes and still convinces me, tries to convince me. It doesn't convince me. I'm not convinced at all. But it tries to convince me that, I can't have happily ever after. That all that sorrow will never be replaced with joy. But I walk in faith. You know what? I think part of it is too that because I almost lost my life, and I've lost everything multiple times at multiple levels, it has woken me up to the value and the meaning of life. And I see in life that I have two choices every single moment of every day. I can choose faith or I can choose fear. And I would rather choose faith, because even if I'm going to be in pain in the future, which I will be, I'd rather believe that good is coming than fear that bad is coming, because I have no control either way what happens to me. And I learned that through experience. And I would rather put my life force, vital energy into having faith, even in the most impossible circumstances, because I survived. I survived. So that's enough of a reason for me to choose that I want to live my life hewed by faith instead of by fear. And I want to walk by faith instead of by fear. I will walk in faith. I will never walk in fear for too long. I'll trip and stumble over the webs of fear for sure. That's going to happen. But I'm going to make my life's decisions and my life's moves from a place of faith. So that rock in my engine, it's not going to make me give up on my dream to go to Disneyland. Because I still can. And even if I can't see a way, I want it. And I'm not going to let it go. Okay? So if you have a dream, a vision, faith in something, do not allow the fear and the difficulty of it to cause you to give up. However, you can give yourself permission to collapse and to rest and to surrender, because sometimes we simply don't have the capacity to do a single gosh darn thing. And I've been there. Last thing I'll say, there is an Instagram reel of a dandelion on a dry patch of soil separated by a sidewalk from a very green, wet patch of soil with sprinklers and many other dandelions. That dandelion is thirsty and he's gonna die. So he decides, instead of dying in this soil, I'm going to use what life force I have left over to pursue greener pastures. That's what you should do. I can't tell you what to do. That's what I hope that you will be inspired to do. That's what I hope you receive the faith to do. So this little dandelion picks up his root legs and walks across the sidewalk. But he becomes weaker and weaker as he goes. And his little roots dry out and he collapses a centimeter before he reaches that green pasture and he dies. But what happens? He goes to seed. And those seeds whisk across the green pasture and they root. And because of that dandelion's faith, pursuit, he did not die in vain. His seeds, his dreams, this is so symbolic, they had the leverage from his sacrifice, his ego sacrifice. He sacrificed comfort, safety, familiarity for all my people who left everything behind to pursue a dream. This is for you. He left all that behind. And his sacrifice of his comfort, of his fleshly comfort, of his ego, his sense of familiarity, all this stuff, I keep repeating myself. Because of that, his dreams, his seeds, his legacy propagated. And because of what he went through and didn't succumb to, he didn't give up. He didn't give up for the future. He didn't give up for his future generations. He kept going because there was purpose in that specific kind of suffering he chose. He chose to suffer for a purpose instead of for no purpose. He didn't give up. And he was able to liberate future generations of those dandelions in that green pasture. So do not give up. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so much. Hugs. Mwah. Okay, I'll see you next time.